UFC Fight Night, Buckley versus Usman from Atlanta, Georgia this Saturday night from the State Farm Arena. We've got 13 fights on this card, obviously main evented by a big one in the welterweight division. Joaquin Buckley has passed the Stephen Thompson test. He has passed the Colby Covington test. Now can he get by Kamaru Usman in his third of huge fights with real legends of the sport? Can Buckley get by Usman and make that next step into the top really 3 of the welterweight division? We'll get to all of that with the co-main event included with Rowe, Namajunas, and Miranda Maverick and more. But folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more weekly UFC predictions here on the channel. Again, we're less than 200 subscribers away from 1,000, so let's make that happen here on the channel. And tomorrow, we're going to have our PFL semifinals predictions. In the main event, it is I believe they're calling it the Clash of the Caribbean. We're going to have Jamaica's Jason Jackson taking on Haiti's Thad Jean. That's a huge fight. Also, co-main event, the trilogy, Jesus Pinedo and Gabriel Braga. Winners obviously go to the PFL finals. Make sure to join us tomorrow for that video. Also on the main channel, Greedo plays daily NBA and MLB best bets. Go check that out. Link in the description down below. Okay, on to the first of our 13 fights today. We're going to kick things off here with the matchup in the bantamweight division. Malcolm Wellmaker is taking on Chris Moutinho. Now, before I get into the predictions, I just need to make this very clear. I'm recording this before Merab versus O'Malley. I'm assuming Merab's going to win the fight 50-45 by decision, but, you know, if that didn't happen, I don't know yet. So, just recording this video early this week. So, the reason I mentioned that is because Chris Moutinho, obviously, you know him for his loss to Sugar Sean O'Malley. It was a late replacement fight. I remember at the time there was a big, oh, who's O'Malley going to get to fight on the Conor card? And it was Chris Moutinho out of nowhere. Moutinho's first stint in the UFC was an 0-2 run. He loses to O'Malley. Fight gets stopped with 30 seconds to go. And then he gets his second fight in the UFC. And I remember this pretty well. It was against Guido Canetti. Guido Canetti was 42-43 when that fight happened. And Moutinho was actually favored to win that fight. A lot of people thought he was going to go out there and pick up the win. And Guido Canetti finished him on the feet in 2 minutes. Since then, Moutinho has gone back to the regional scene, winning in promotions such as Combat Zone and CES and Cage Titans. He is a New England Cartel guy, and I don't know, I've always said it, and I'll say it again, I don't think the New England Cartel is very good. They have, right, Calvin Kattar, who's seen success in the UFC, Rob Font, obviously, as well, but past those guys, what has the New England Cartel done? None of their prospects are all that good. I don't know. And now, they're known for this because Calvin Kattar basically is all these guys. I don't want to get this wrong, but I believe Calvin Kattar, if I'm not mistaken, match makes a lot of these guys and he gets them on his show so they get favor, or his promotion, so they all get favorable matchups. Chris Moutinho's run outside the UFC. I don't want to, crap on the Moutinho revenge tour here, guys, but let's just be honest. Win over a 14-16 fighter. A win over an 8-2 Matu Silva is actually a really good win. Now, this guy, again, Silva, fought nothing but cans, but still he's an 8-3 fighter. We'll take it. And then a 6-3 win, 6-7 win, and a 22-16 win. And the UFC just hates Chris Moutinho because they're giving him Malcolm Wellmaker, who's pretty good. Wellmaker, 1-0 in the UFC, he knocked out and flatlined Cameron Simon, who's actually pretty good. And Simon, unfortunately, just has had a really rough go at things. He had to fight C-Rod, Peyton Talbot, and Wellmaker in 3 straight fights. I hope they don't cut him. Like, just give him a Contender Series guy, please, to keep him around. They probably will. He's, Dricus Duplessis guys from South Africa. Wellmaker hits really hard. And Chris Moutinho, I understand he's won 4 fights in a row, guys, but these are against cans, and that means absolutely nothing to me. I'm just going to be honest. Wellmaker is going to crack him, and it's not going to last very long. This is the biggest levels fight there's ever been. I'm so serious. And it's not like Wellmaker against a top 15 guy. It's just, what has Moutinho done? He has not gotten that much better. How does he win the fight? I assume he's going to have to grapple. Moutinho's been knocked out 4 times in his career already, man. I don't like it. This is the most obvious first-round knockout ever. Malcolm Wellmaker kicks off UFC Atlanta with a first-round knockout. Let's go on to our next fight in the flyweight division. We still don't have odds for this one just because this fight just got announced. The first 3 fights don't have odds for some reason. Oh, I'm recording this video on Friday night. I don't know why the next fight doesn't have odds yet, but regardless, we'll get to that in a second. Vanessa Demopoulos versus Jamie Lynn Horth. So this is a replacement fight. Originally, Jamie Lynn Horth was supposed to take on Teresa Bleda. Full transparency, I was going to take Chiesa Bellato to win that fight. I actually don't think Jamie Lynn Horth's that good. I'll give away the pick right now. I think she's good enough to beat Vanessa Demopoulos, and here's why, guys. Vanessa Demopoulos, I really don't care about her 2-fight losing streak. I mean, sure, again, that helps us for our Jamie Lynn Horth pick. I doubt the odds are going to be anything playable for this fight. I imagine Horth is going to be like a minus 300 favorite. And I wouldn't throw a minus 300 favorite in a women's fight into a parlay at all. Don't do it. But regardless, though, Jamie Lynn Horth is so much bigger than Vanessa Demopoulos, and it's not even close. Guys, Vanessa Demopoulos is truly an atom weight, okay? Vanessa Demopoulos has fought in Invicta before at 105. I think, was she the 105 champion? No, she just won the strawweight championship over there. She's a fighter that can make 105. I don't know if she's ever fought there before, but I remember hearing when she went on the Contender Series when she fought Corey McCain, I think it was like DC or something, said that, all right, Vanessa Demopoulos, yeah, she's fighting here at 15. She can really cut to atomweight. I think it was Laura Sanko, because Laura Sanko's a huge advocate of women's atomweight, and honestly, they should add it. They got rid of featherweight. You might as well just add in women's 105. Regardless, though, Sanko, I believe, mentioned, okay, Demopoulos should be really fighting at 105, but the UFC doesn't have that, so she's fighting at 15, right? I don't know how she won the LFA. It was the LFA, not Invicta, but I don't know how she won the LFA strawweight championship. Now, given LFA's had their fair share of really bad strawweight champions and just really women's champions as a whole. Regardless, though, Demopoulos, you know, she's lost 2 in a row to Jacqueline Amorim and then to Lita Alencar, and I didn't think she was going to lose the Alencar fight. A lot of people thought Demopoulos was going to get that one. Regardless, though, she's so outmatched in this fight. Not even from a skillful perspective. It's just, I don't know how she's going to be able to deal with the strength of Jamie Lynn Horth. Jamie Lynn Horth's going to wrestle her and keep her down the entire fight. I firmly believe that. Demopoulos, I know she's a jiu-jitsu fighter. That doesn't matter. She's going to have so much weight on her here, and Lynn Horth is just the way bigger fighter. Because here's the thing about Jamie Lynn Horth. She doesn't do anything all that impressive. She doesn't, okay? Jamie Lynn Horth might be the most who-cares fighter on the roster. I'm so serious. No offense, but no personality, not a big name, doesn't even have fun fights, has had 2 split decisions out of 4 fights in the UFC. Fights have all gone the distance, and yes, I could, with that description, I could be describing every women's UFC fighter, who's not in the top 15, but like none of her fights are fun. They're all boring striking fights where she kind of clinches, kind of grapples a little bit. Expect that here. Okay, guys, imagine like the most boring women's fight possible right now, and that's what we're going to get with Jamie Lynn Horth and Vanessa Demopoulos. It's going to be a unanimous decision, probably 30-27 Jamie Lynn Horth. If she strikes, she's going to use her range well. She's got like 6.5 inches of reach, actually like 7 inches of reach on Vanessa Demopoulos. She's 5 inches taller than her. Horth is 5'7", Demopoulos is 5'2". I think we all know where this is going. I'm taking Jamie Lynn Horth to beat Vanessa Demopoulos by decision. I don't care how she gets it done. Again, I anticipate a wrestling affair here. I get it, Demopoulos, she has that big armbar finish off her back against Silvana Gomez Juarez back in 2022. But no, Jamie Lynn Horth will be perfectly fine in this fight. She's going to be able to dictate where the fight goes. I think she's going to be able to outstrike Demopoulos, and I expect her to outgrapple Demopoulos in this fight as well. So give me the Canadian Jamie Lynn Horth to beat Vanessa Demopoulos here by unanimous decision. She's way bigger than her, and that's really the main factor of this fight. Next up, we have Phil Rowe and Loosa here in the welterweight division. Honestly, I kind of surprised Phil Rowe's still in the UFC. Just not because from a skillful perspective, it's just, I remember that a couple weeks ago, Phil Rowe's name came up in a video. I forget who we were talking about, whose fight we were talking about. Regardless, Phil Rowe comes up and I'm like, I don't think Phil Rowe's still around because he hasn't fought in over a year and he's 3-3 in the promotion. But no, he's back and he's taken on Loosa. Relatively short notice. I mean, both these guys took this fight on, I think, like 2-3 weeks notice. So Rowe is back, taking on Loosa. We don't even have odds for this one. This fight's not even on the UFC website. That's okay. I think Loosa does win this fight. I think, and here's the thing about Loosa. Okay. First 7.5 minutes of Loosa is going to be a really good fighter. Okay. Loosa is going to come out the gates and he's going to look great in every single fight that he has. Okay. This guy right away will put, pedal to the metal and he's going to be in your face. He's going to be using his jab. He's going to, again, he's going to show all that output. But as the fight goes on, and as we saw in the Reese McGee fight back in Paris, France in September of 2023, he doesn't do well late in fights. He runs out of gas in his fights. He's 2-2 in the promotion, and his 2 losses are Munir Lazzez and Gabriel Bonfim. Honestly, like, fight the same type of build of fighters, though, like tall, lanky guys who are just all around bigger than Losa, who is a very built guy, obviously, for the weight class. Losa's 2 victories are Reese McKee and AJ Fletcher. Obviously, you have the no contest against Brian Battle, the fight where, he gets poked in the eye, kind of, and then he doesn't want to fight, and Battle, got mad at him after the fight. Rightfully so. Regardless, Losa's getting Phil Rowe, the Fresh Prince Phil Rowe, fighting out of Brooklyn, New York. 3-3 in the UFC, and Phil Rowe has lost his last 2 fights. He was given a huge step up in competition after he won back-to-back fights over Jason Witt and Nico Price. He knocks out Price, then gets a fight against Neil Magny, loses it by split decision. I believe that was the fight on Long Island, and then he comes back, loses to Jake Matthews by unanimous decision. Phil Rowe at his best, not bad. Like, he's a good striker, and this is where I'm a little bit concerned with Losa. Okay, here's the thing. Phil Rowe's kind of the opposite fighter of Losa. He's a guy that will get better as the fight goes on. He's going to start slow, and then as the fight goes on, he is going to pour damage on you. So I think this fight is really dependent on 2 things, okay? Losa's ability to not get finished late in the fight, because I know Phil Rowe's going to turn it on. I fully expect Losa to win the early rounds in this fight. Sorry, the early round in this fight, the first round. How will he adjust in the third? The second, probably the biggest factor of this fight, other than Losa's ability just to stay in there, is 100% that second round. Who can take the second round? Because Losa, right, he's good for 7.5 to 8 minutes. Will that be enough for him to steal that second, and then to the point where he can kind of just coast in that third round? He'll be up 2 rounds to nothing at that point. Those are the 2 biggest things you got to ask yourself here. I am going to lean towards Losa. I do like what he does early in the fight, and also there's been inactivity out of Phil Rowe. I don't know what Phil Rowe has been doing. He has, he's been out for over a year at this point. It seems like the guy kind of just fights once a year now, which isn't what you want to see out of a 34-year-old. He's 3-3 in the UFC. Losa's 2-2, but at least Losa is somewhat active. I understand he hasn't fought in over a year as well, but he got 2 fights in there in 2024. And hell, his last fight was only, 11 months ago compared to, 13 for Phil Rowe. Not that big of a difference, but I do trust in the game a lot more out of Losa. And really, am I going to rely on Losa to just survive, or Phil Rowe to probably get a late finish? Because I do think Losa personally can bank that second round. It's all just dependent on that third. I think Losa, again, I think he's learned his lesson. I don't know, because he's going to have some trouble, I think, crashing in this fight, at least closing the distance, because Phil Rowe's just a bigger fighter. Phil Rowe's 6'3", and it makes welterweight, right? 80 and a half reach advantage, 80 and a half inch reach for Phil Rowe, and it's a 6.5 reach advantage over Losa, who's got a 74 inch reach. But we've seen Losa, struggle at times with the taller fighters, but I think he'll be okay against Phil Rowe. Again, I don't think Phil Rowe's that great. His victories like Jason Witt in the UFC, right? I saw Losa beat Reese McKee, and sure, he dealt with a lot of trouble late in that fight in the third, but I think Losa should be able to pick up the victory. I'm going with the Swiss fighter training out at Killcliff FC. Losa picks up the win over Phil Rowe. I'm going with him by unanimous decision. Next up is a fight between Paul Craig and Rodolfo Bellato at the in the light heavyweight division. We already talked about this fight. This was on the Gilbert Burns Michael Morales card. I think it was the co-main event. So we're just gonna rerun that fight prediction. Nothing changes from that fight that was originally scheduled 4 weeks ago. So we'll roll that, and I'll see you guys for the next fight right after. Rodolfo Bellato takes on Paul Craig. This is a co-main event. God, these cards are so abysmal. It's crazy. The Yusuf fight should really be the co-main, but here we go. Paul Craig, Rodolfo Bellato. Bellato gets a co-main event after drawing in his last fight against Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute's third career draw or whatnot. What does Paul Craig offer in the big 2025? Nothing. Bo Nickel beat him by decision. Bo Nickel outstruck him. Paul Craig before that lost to Kyle Borhaio. He got knocked out. Brendan Allen subbed him. Sure, the jiu-jitsu is always going to be there with Paul Craig. The guy hasn't landed a takedown since 2023, where he upset Andrea Muniz. He's lost 5 out of his last 6 fights. He kind of needs this fight to stay in the promotion, let's be honest. I don't think Paul Craig can outstrike Rodolfo Bellato, and the question remains, can he take down Bellato? Well, Bellato's got a 100% takedown defense rate so far in the UFC. Jimmy Crute went 0 for 3, right? It's tough to take this guy down. I don't think Craig is going to do that. Bearju is one of those few guys who will just straight up pull guard. I think he's kind of just being thrown out to get slaughtered here, if I'm being honest with you. And it's not even that I think Bellato's going to be some up-and-coming hot prospect. I don't think he is. I just think he's so much better than Paul Craig. Because, again, stylistically, what does Paul Craig do that's going to really hurt Bellato here? Sure, he can strike with them, but eventually, again, Paul Craig is going to get cracked. He's not a better striker than Bellato. He doesn't have the power Bellato's got. And sure, he can clinch up and try to get the fight down, but I don't think he's going to be able to. And again, Paul Craig has never been the best at traditional takedowns. He's taken on a guy who does have good takedown defense. And what? Okay, you pull guard. We've seen Craig do it before, but I just don't think it's going to go very well for him. Bellato's got decent defensive submission skills as well. He's got jiu-jitsu, right? He's from Brazil, right? I mean, again, that's not the be-all, end-all, but right, this is a guy who's trained jiu-jitsu all of his life. He's a good striker at the same time. He's got power. I just don't see how Bellato doesn't win this fight, right? Rodolfo Bellato is 12-0 when you take away his 2 fights with Vitor Petrino, obviously, oddly enough. 2019, he got knocked out by Petrino in 25 seconds, and in 2022, Petrino knocked him out in the Contender Series in the 2nd round. You take away those losses to Petrino, this guy's never lost before. The Jimmy Crute fight was close, right? He ultimately draws with Jimmy Crute. It is what it is. Jimmy Crute dominates the first round. It's not even competitive, but Bellato comes back and wins the second too. That's how you get your 28-28. Not mad at it at all, actually. That's kind of how I saw that fight going. After, obviously, I watched it play out. But here against Paul Craig, I mean, yes, this is the biggest layup fight, I think, ever. Paul Craig, again, in his prime, and I know we're talking about prime Paul Craig, which is interesting, but at his peak, yeah, Paul Craig did offer a tough stylistic matchup for a lot of guys. He was never the best striker, but yeah, he could clinch up with you, he could pull guard, and if he got a takedown and got on top, he's, dangerous. And against other grapplers, yeah, Paul Craig, again, can be really dangerous. But against a guy like Bellato, who is kind of just, I'm going to be honest, built to beat Paul Craig, good takedown defense, good jiu-jitsu, heavy hands. Not the best, not the cleanest striker, don't get me wrong. Like, he's going to get outstruck by better strikers. He kind of just throws hard and throws with power, but as the fight goes on, yes, he's going to, well, I don't know if I want to say as the fight goes on, but there are going to be spots where he's going to get clipped. I think is the better, was what I'm looking for there. So against better strikers, he will lose. But nothing's being offered back at him here with Paul Craig. So Bellato's going to win on the feet. And on the ground, I don't think Craig, again, yes, he can throw up his crazy, right, triangle choke like he submitted Krylov with a couple of years ago, and it's probably his best victory of his career. Actually, no, he beat Jamal Hill at one point. But I just don't think it's happening. Paul Craig's 37. He doesn't have much left in the tank, and I think he gets knocked out in the first round here by Rodolfo Bellato. I'm going Bellato first round knockout here in our co-main event. We move to our next fight here in the bantamweight division. It is between Ricky Simon and Charles Jourdain. I like Charles Jourdain a lot, right? This is a very fun fighter who's always looking for the finish. He's always getting into firefights. And actually, I've picked Charles Jourdain in every fight that he's had in the UFC since the Shane Burgos fight. Like, I picked Jourdain quite a bit. There are spots, though, in this fight that I think are going to be really troubling for Charles Jourdain, okay? He's fighting Ricky Simon, obviously. He's coming off of a win in his last fight over Javid Basharat. It's a fight where he was a huge underdog. He came in there and nailed Javid Basharat with a big right hand, put him down. He's a plus 200 dog, ended up winning the fight by first round knockout. It was a win that was much needed for Simon, right? Coming off 3 consecutive losses, it needed to get back on the right track after losing to Song Yadong in a main event, losing to Mario Bautista, losing to Vinicius Oliveira. He comes in there, right? Beats Basharat. Huge victory. Where I am a little bit concerned with Jourdain in this fight, who is coming off a win in his own right over Victor Henry, is with the Ricky Simon wrestling. And I know his last fight, right, Simon wins it against Basharat with a knockout. Expect him to wrestle Jourdain a lot. I don't know if Ricky Simon really wants to get into a firefight with Jourdain, if I'm being honest with you, because I have seen Simon at times out-pressured, out-blitzed on the feet, and really just overwhelmed. I saw that in the Song Yadong fight in the main event in the Apex. Hell, I mean, we give Mario Bautista a lot of crap. Now, I think we're at a point, hopefully, where Patchy Mix beat him. I don't know. Regardless, though, like Mario Bautista, regardless of what you think of the guy, he's a good fighter. He's a top 10 fighter, and he went in there and outstruck Ricky Simon for 15 minutes. I watched Rob Font go in there and really just overwhelm Simon with strikes as well. I feel like, again, if Simon's not able to get this fight down, it's how we saw this with Vinicius Oliveira as well. We're just going to see Jourdain kind of pepper him up the entire fight with strikes and eventually maybe put him away, probably just win a decision, right? So I think Simon's got to go to his wrestling here. And obviously that is a must in this fight for him. But at the same time, we've seen guys go out there and out-wrestle Jourdain. He does have a nasty guillotine choke, and that's usually his counter to stopping, the wrestling of his opponents, right? We saw them in the Ricardo Ramos fight, right? Ramos goes in there for a submission, for a takedown in the first round, and Jourdain locks up the guillotine choke and subs him in the first. Hell, Jourdain's last fight against Victor Henry. Henry lands 4 takedowns in that fight in Edmonton, Alberta, but eventually Charles Jourdain gets a hold of that guillotine choke and puts him away, right? Gets performance of the night. We have seen fights though, right, where Jourdain is pressured in terms of wrestling, and he is put on his back. Hell, look at the fight against Shane Burgos, right? That's the last time I have picked against Jourdain. Hell, yes, I did take Jourdain to beat John Silva, I think, right? Did I not? I think I did. That was a bad pick. Yeah, I did. I thought levels. I was thinking levels for that fight. Regardless, the Shane Burgos fight, right? Look at that. Burgos, right? We went into that fight on Long Island thinking, okay, firefight. This fight's going to be great. And what happens? Okay, Jourdain gets he gets out wrestled the entire time because Burgos didn't want to fight that. And yeah, there is a hole in the game of Jourdain, right? Burgos puts on the wrestling boots and finds a way to win a decision that way. Nathaniel Wood did the same exact thing as well. So I think that's a troubling spot for Jourdain here, if I'm just being honest. I think it's a real troubling spot, because I do think Simone's going to wrestle the entire fight. Now, again, if Jourdain's able to stuff the takedowns, which he has struggled at times in the UFC, only 47% takedown defense rate so far for Jourdain, I think Simone's going to win a decision. I think he will. On the feet again, right, I think if Jourdain does keep the fight standing, he will beat Ricky Simone. He will. But I just don't expect that to be the case personally. I do think Simone will wrestle the entire fight, and I think he's just going to make it really tough for Jourdain to fight the style of fight that he wants to fight, which again is a firefight, is a back and forth war. He wants to be the one pressuring, and that's all going to get thrown off, again, if Simone puts him on the back foot and Simone is looking to wrestle and Simone is taking him down. So I'm going to go with Ricky Simone, right? I mean, he found a way to, take his back off the wall in his last fight, right? Losing 3 consecutive fights, comes out there, wins one as an underdog against Basharat, and I think he puts back-to-back victories together here. Again, I don't pick against Jourdain often, but I'm doing it right here. I'm taking Ricky Simone to beat Charles Jourdain by unanimous decision. We move on to our next fight, and we go to a matchup here in the flyweight division. It is Cody Durden taking on Jose Ochoa in this one. Durden's an underdog, which does surprise me quite a bit, if I'm being honest with you. Right, Durden is coming off a loss, but that's to Josh Van. Now, again, another fighter who is fighting on the Newark card. I assume that he beat Bruno Silva. I don't know. I'm assuming, though, that's what happened for that fight to Josh Van. I'm assuming Josh Van won that fight. Regardless, though, Cody Durden's coming off a loss to Josh Van. He's taking on Jose Ochoa here, who's fighting his second UFC fight after his first one was a loss to Lonnie Kavanaugh over in Macau, China. Yes, Macau, China. Now, I was very critical of the Lonnie Kavanaugh performance in that fight, and Kavanaugh, I guess, was better than the Felipe Dos Santos fight he was. But that initial fight for Kavanaugh in the UFC against Ochoa wasn't the best. It was a competitive fight there that, again, Kavanaugh was well expected to win. Ultimately, right, he barely gets by, wins a decision, but nothing really impressive came out of that one. I'm just surprised that Ochoa's a favorite here. I really am. Because was that fight being so close just a product of Ochoa being really good, or just Kavanaugh having an off night, or is Kavanaugh just not as good as we think he is? Again, he's a good prospect, but that was at the same time his first fight in the UFC too. Cody Durden's is a guy who has been in the UFC for a while. This is going to be his 13th walk into the UFC octagon. This is a guy who made his UFC debut all the way back in the pandemic in 2020 in a draw to Chris Gutierrez. He's been around, and Durden's a guy who has been in and out of the top 15 a lot. I know he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights, but look at the losses. Tagir Ulanbekov, Bruno Silva, a win over Matt Schnell, and then Josh Van. Those are tough outs. I mean, those are tough losses right there. The 4-fight winning streak for Durden was JP Bays by first round knockout. Now, anyone could knock out JP Bays, in all fairness. Carlos Mota, Charles Johnson, and Jake Hadley, right? I mean, say what you want about those fights. I mean, Charles Johnson's a good victory. Jake Hadley might be on his way to winning a PFL championship this season. And JP Bays and Carlos Mota, I don't know what to say. But really, I mean, Hadley and Johnson are good victories for Durden. I don't know why Ochoa's a favorite here. He stuffed 2 Kavanaugh takedowns. And sure, again, he ultimately fought a competitive fight in that. But I just don't see it. I think Durden's going to wrestle Ochoa this entire fight. And I think he's going to be okay. Again, we haven't seen a complete wrestling performance out of Durden in a while, just because, right, Tagir was able to be the aggressor in terms of getting takedowns and submitting him, right? The Bruno Silva fight, Durden tried to get the fight on the ground. He did. He attempted a couple submissions, but ultimately Bruno Silva put him down. The Matt Schnell fight, right? I mean, that was a successful outing for Durden. And the Josh Van fight, right? I mean, Van's just a very stylistically tough fighter to approach. I just don't think Ochoa's this, like, uber prospect. I think he's good, but I don't think right away you're matching him up, off of a loss, he's going to get Cody Durden. I just don't see it. Durden's a really good wrestler, man. Durden's going to put on the wrestling boots here, and I think he's going to give Ochoa a lot of trouble. I'm taking Cody Durden here by unanimous decision. And I'm really surprised we get the odds that we have, I mean, plus 145 for Durden. It's just, for me, Ochoa's really unproven. He's a guy that didn't even have to find the Contender Series. He got his call after winning an LFA over Juscelino Pantoja by Anaconda choke. He was this 5-0 fighter, and then he gets on the Contender Series. He withdraws from that against Jack Duffy, and then he just gets the Kavanaugh fight. And yeah, the fight was competitive, but it wasn't a great fight. It was pretty uneventful, and it was boring. And sure, Ochoa fought a competitive fight, but he lost against a guy who made his UFC debut, and now you're giving him a guy who's in the top 15 in Cody Durden? I just don't understand. Maybe there's something Vegas knows that we don't, but I feel pretty fine here about Cody Durden winning the fight by unanimous decision. Ochoa has not shown me great defensive wrestling yet. Again, there's nothing much to really go off of. I get it, he's got a jiu-jitsu game, but Cody Durden, again, should just be the aggressor in terms of takedowns. He should use his American wrestling past and history to go out there and win the fight. Only reason I said that's because he's got the, the American wrestling tattoo. Regardless, Cody Durden should win. He should avoid the striking exchanges where I know Ochoa can be dangerous at times. But yeah, I'm going Cody Durden here to win the fight by unanimous decision. Great spot for us at plus money, by the way, at plus 145. Let's go on to our next fight. Why is this fight a thing? Why does Michael Chiesa why does he get to keep running through these fighters who are way past their prime? And just, why? I guess Max Griffin isn't a guy who's, overly past his prime, but, what is this veterans run Michael Chiesa is getting to go on here? I guess the UFC just likes Chiesa, right? He's always on the post-fight show, right? He works for ESPN or UFC on ESPN. So I guess Dana and the brass over there and Hunter Campbell, they really like the guy. And Sean Shelby, regardless. It's just, seriously? We have to watch Michael Chiesa beat a 40-year-old Court McGee and then proclaim, oh, I'm a top 15 fighter again? I mean, again, there's going to come a day where I guess this is what this is all leading to, where Michael Chiesa is just going to get his ass beat by a current top 15 welterweight, right? He's going to win maybe this fight, and they'll give him, I don't know, maybe he'll fight a Ponzinibbio who's more than washed, and then he'll get his way into the top 15, and then they'll give him Carlos Leal, and Carlos Leal is going to knock him out cold, right? Maybe that's what we're setting up for here with Michael Chiesa. But yeah, he'll beat Court McGee. Don't really have a doubt in my mind that's going to happen. The question is, how does he do it? Because Court McGee, guys, I know he's coming off a win over Tim Means. That means nothing to me. The Dirty Bird is washed. Court McGee is washed. That fight was washed versus washed, and Court McGee came out with the victory in Utah. Prior to that, he had lost 3 straight fights. He had lost to Jeremiah Wells by knockout in the first round. Matt Brown had knocked him out in the first round, and Alex Morono beat him by decision in a more competitive fight than you remember, but still, Alex Morono beat him. And then Court McGee finds a way to take down Tim Means, jump the back, and get a submission. Good for him, right? But Chiesa is just so much better than Court McGee everywhere, really. Court McGee's striking game leaves a lot to be desired. I understand Michael Chiesa's striking game leaves a ton to be desired as well. But the thing is, okay, Chiesa's always been in the top 15, top 10 of the rankings, and I know he's not really at that anymore, but he's always been just a higher level than Court McGee. Court McGee, for as long as he's been in the UFC, has never had an opportunity to reach the top 10 or even held the top 5 like Chiesa has. Chiesa's just, he's always been better. So what changes now when Court McGee is 40 years old and Michael Chiesa is 37? I mean, I guess maybe it's a struggle. I don't think it is, but maybe Chiesa's going to have a little trouble getting the fight down because Court McGee is a solid wrestler. And I will say this, which kind of makes this fight interesting. Court McGee loses because he's trying to get the takedown. He gets stuffed, and then he just gets battered on the feet, right? You saw that in the Jeremiah Wells fight. You saw that in the Matt Brown fight, and you've seen that throughout the course of the Court McGee career. So maybe that is something, right? That we usually don't see guys go in there and just try to wrestle Court McGee. Sean Brady's the one guy I can think of, but even Sean Brady, honestly, wasn't able to really hold McGee down. He got takedowns, but there wasn't actually much action on the ground. So that might be interesting. Sean Strickland, I think, took Court McGee down a couple times. But nah, I fully expect Chiesa to win. Hell, even on the feet, I think Chiesa's got more than Court McGee. Albeit, I don't think that's going to be that fun of a fight, and I think it'll kind of be competitive. But if Chiesa... Okay, here's the thing. If Chiesa gets stuck on his feet, he's just going to clinch. Yeah, he'll just clinch the entire fight. Like, if you remember the Neil Magny Michael Chiesa fight, Chiesa wrestled, but really a lot of his control time came from the clinch and just grappling and holding on to Neil Magny. So if he's not able just to take Court McGee down, he'll just do that. Yeah, I don't see the pathway to victory here for Court McGee. This is a 40-year-old fighter making his 24th walk into the UFC octagon. Is this the swan song? I don't know. I kind of feel like his last fight was going to be the end because he got to fight at home in Utah. Maybe he'll be back one more time for the Utah pay-per-view, and that will be his final fight. But I don't know why Michael Chiesa gets to be the guy that retires Tony Ferguson, and then they say, you know what? Okay, here's Court McGee. Go beat him. What did Michael Chiesa do to deserve this? I'm serious. Glaze Juliana Pena because he does that any chance he gets. You know? Why does Michael Chiesa keep getting these big fights that he can just win easily? I'm going Michael Chiesa first round sub, okay? If the fight actually hits the mat, Chiesa is going to submit Court McGee really quickly. Again, my slight concern with Chiesa is how does he get the fight down there? My answer to that, Court McGee's 40, and Chiesa should be able just to find a way to drag it down. So I'm going Chiesa first round sub. Let's just feed him to Carlos Leal next and get this thing over with. I'm going Michael Chiesa to win another fight here in the big 2025. He will get it done by first round sub over the veteran in Court McGee. Let's go on now to our next fight, and we move now on to the main card. It is the main card opener as Chiesa is, wow, he's the featured prelim. The main card opener here in the light heavyweight division, a guy who's been in and out of the top 15 for quite a bit now, and I know, again, light heavyweight is kind of weak. Regardless, it is one Alonzo Menifield, and he'll be taking on Umar Sy, the French fighter, again, here at 205. Alonzo Menifield's coming off a victory over Julius Walker. That fight was all right. Both guys just tired and gassed at the end of it. Honestly, wasn't a horrible fight. It just showed that, all right, some of these 205-pounders and really heavyweights as well, they have no gas tank and they can't push the pace like some of the lighter guys can. But it's okay. Alonzo Menifield wins the fight over Julius Juicebox Walker, who made his UFC debut. Menifield's now 16-5-1 professionally, 9-5-1 in the UFC. Needed that victory over Walker after back-to-back L's to Carlos Ulberg and Azamat Murzakanov. After beating Dustin Jacoby prior to that as well. I mean, that was by far the biggest victory of Alonzo Menifield's career, right? Drops 2 in a row. I remember he fought Ulberg, and he fought a stupid fight against Ulberg. Again, blitzed Ulberg right away, got dropped and knocked out in St. Louis, Missouri. And the Murzakanov fight, he just got dominated. I mean, I don't know, that was weird. That's kind of just a clear levels fight. Murzakanov was such a better striker than Menifield in that one. Anyways, Alonzo Menifield gets Umar Sy. Again, Menifield in and out of the top 15. He finds himself now at a plus 380 dog against the minus 500 favorite in Umar Sy, who is only 2-0 in the UFC. I don't think he should be this big of a favorite, okay? I just don't think so. I think he should be a favorite. This big of a favorite's kind of insane. He's had 2 fights, and one win is over Tuco Tacos. It's a fight that he wins by first round sub. Okay, good for him. Tacos, though, is not good. Okay, we've said this before, that guy's not that good at fighting. And Umar Sy took him down and subbed him. And then the Da Woon Jung fight, right? Umar Sy shows more of the striking. He wins every single round, wrestles some as well. But ultimately, right, it's an Umar Sy victory there. He'll probably beat Alonzo Menifield just because he can grapple. And Alonzo Menifield does struggle with that some. And I immediately look and think about the Jimmy Crute fight, where Jimmy Crute kind of just had Menifield down for most of the fight. Obviously, ended up as a majority draw. But the thing is, Umar Sy, right? No matter where he takes the fight, he's going to beat Alonzo Menifield. I'm not trying to crap on Menifield at all here. It's just Umar Sy kind of has all of his bases covered here. He has him on the ground. He has him on the feet. I don't know what Menifield really offers here. Some power coming back at you, sure. But even the Julius Walker fight, right? That was such a sloppy fight that you could have said Julius Walker won. Like, if Julius Walker got the scorecards in that one, I wouldn't have been mad at you. I mean, look at the fight. You can easily say Julius Walker wins rounds 1 and 2. Menifield does his best to work in the 3rd round, and I think that swing round is definitely the 2nd. But we saw Julius Walker have some success wrestling and just clinching up in Alonzo Menifield. What's to say that Omar Sy's not going to have that same success? Again, I think Sy's still really green. I think he's still a raw prospect. He's only 29 years old, training at a Bulgarian top team. Typology says he fights out of Paris, France, but I believe, he just trains in Sofia, Bulgaria. But this is a guy who, if he can get it together and really hone in on his skills, he's going to be good. I mean, the guy is an athletic freak. He's 6'4", he's huge for the weight class. And he should be able to beat Menifield, right? He's going to tower over Menifield. Again, I think Sy has this one on the feet. I think he's got it one on the ground. There really is nowhere where I think Menifield is better than him at. Because Menifield's 37 too. He's not getting any older. Sorry, not getting any younger. He's only getting older. Umar Sy's quicker. He's just the better athlete. And I think C should win the fight. Again, I think it'll likely be due to a ground game, and I think I could easily see Umar C just winning by TKO down there. I could also see him knocking out Alonzo Menifield as well, a guy who has been chinned. Look at the Murzakanov fight. Look at the Ulberg fight, right? This is a guy who's going to get chinned in his fights. Hell, OSP knocked him out back in 2020 as well. I forgot, William Knight beat Alonzo Menifield. Yeah, it was I don't know how he beat Dustin Jacoby. That was so random. That was very random. Yeah, we're taking Umar C to win this fight. I guess Menifield did drop Jacoby. That was odd. Yeah, we're taking Umar C to win the fight by second round TKO. I think it's either, again, it could be a knockout. It could just be ground strikes. Either or, I feel pretty comfortable going with the French fighter training out of Bulgaria. Give me Umar C here by second round TKO. Let's go on to our next fight as we move on to a matchup here. In the middleweight division, we have got Cody Brundage taking on Mansour Abdul-Malik. Another one of these fights that is a huge favorite on one side of the equation. Obviously, that is with Mansour Abdul-Malik. He's taken on Cody Brundage, who is coming off a victory in his last fight. It was a first-round finish and a first-round knockout over Julian Marquez in a co-main event of a UFC Apex card. Again, why the UFC Apex card still exists, I don't know. We don't have to go back to the Apex until August, which is still ridiculous. They're going to use potential summer fight night cards on the UFC Apex. Like, I think it's Tetsura Taira and Amir Albazi are going to main event the Apex in August. It's stupid. And they are doing back-to-back. Fluffy Hernandez and Dolidze are fighting the Apex as well. Regardless, though, Cody Brundage is coming off a co-main event victory in the UFC Apex over Julian Marquez. It's a fight in which he knocked him out in the first round. I mean, we saw that one coming. Marquez is not an active fighter, and for whatever you can say about Brundage, right? I mean, look at his, no contest against Abdul-Razak Al-Hassan where he was going to get knocked out. The fight where Jacob Malkoun elbows him in the back of the head in a fight that Brundage was going to lose. He is a well-tested guy. I'm not going to say he's a great fighter, but he's been around. He's fought some decent competition. Hell, he fought in the main card of UFC 300 against Bo Nickel. He's a UFC veteran, right? He's a UFC veteran who has fought now 11 times in the octagon. This is going to be his 12th walk, right? You can't deny the fact that, okay, Cody Brundage, he is going to remain active. He's going to be in the octagon, right? This is a real tough fight for him, though. It just is. Mansour Abdul-Malik is a difficult fight. This guy's good. This guy's really good. Look at his first two fights in the UFC, right? The win over Dusko Todorovic. He wins the fight by first round knockout against Dusko. Just really impressive. Knocks him down and then finishes the fight on the ground. Look at the win over Nick Klein. He goes out there and gets the finish against Klein. Works in the clinch, pushes Klein back up against the fence, gets the finish that way. Mansour Abdul-Malik, again, 2 fights in the UFC, 2 finishes. This is a guy with a 100% finish rate. 7 knockouts, 1 submission. He's difficult. And Cody Brundage does get knocked out. He does. And sure, he looked great in the Julian Marquez fight, but again, Marquez is not an active UFC fighter, okay? That's just not what Marquez is anymore. I look at Cody Brundage getting knocked out by Michal Zolshashek. I look at him, likely getting knocked out by Abdul-Razak Al-Hassan before the illegal strikes, right? This is a guy who's going to get dropped, and he's susceptible of getting finished early in fights. The UFC knows what they're doing, okay? They just do. They want to pump up Mansour Abdul-Malik. He's a Contender Series guy. He's an MMA Masters guy. This is an exciting prospect who's got heavy hands, who can really grapple too. I mean, his ground and pound's nasty, as we saw in the Contender Series in his victory over Wes Schultz. Really, again, just a good fighter, and a guy, if the UFC really, builds Abdul-Malik up well, they're going to get a really good prospect here. 8-0 professionally, finds himself as a huge favorite here, and the UFC knows what to do, right? You give a huge favorite, Cody Brundage. You're likely going to get the right outcome here, right? Brundage is going to beat guys coming off the Contender Series who are unproven, but a guy like Mansour Abdul-Malik, no, he does not stand a chance. Brundage will not be able to wrestle here, and Mansour Abdul-Malik should beat him to the punch every single time. So I'm going Mansour Abdul-Malik here by first round knockout. Again, there's a reason he's on the main card. They're trying to promote him. He's 2-0 in the promotion, and I think he's going to get an early finish here over Cody Brundage. Just don't do anything stupid, which usually happens in Cody Brundage fights, right? Like, someone hits the back of his head and you lose, right? Like, no, just don't do anything stupid. Mansour Abdul-Malik should be able to win the fight and now go to 3-0 in the UFC. Again, 100% finish rate for Abdul-Malik in his UFC career. In his professional career and his UFC career. He gets it done against Brundage again by first round knockout. Let's move on to our next fight as we move here to the bantamweight division. Cody No Love. Cody Garbrandt takes on Raoni Barcelos, and Cody Garbrandt is an underdog. Wow. That's surprising to me. It really is. I understand Raoni Barcelos just cashed as one of the biggest underdogs, if not the biggest underdog in UFC history. Plus 710. He beats Peyton Talbot at the Intuit Dome at UFC 311. Peyton Talbot was a fraud. Raoni Barcelos wrestled him, and Talbot had no answers. I actually feel really good about Garbrandt winning this fight. I'm not going to lie. We haven't seen Garbrandt since UFC 300. That's okay. He was supposed to take on Miles Johns at multiple points in October and in November. Garbrandt got hurt, so now here he is back in June, obviously. Yeah, Barcelos isn't going to out-grapple Cody Garbrandt. You can say what you want about Garbrandt. I know, Divas and Figueiredo submitted him. All right, Divas and Figueiredo, that fight always just felt weird. It was a fight that was supposed to happen back in 2020 for the Flyweight Championship, and it's just one of those, kind of dream fights that the UFC wanted to put together for that UFC 300 card, right? You want to put on two heavy-hitting guys in Garbrandt and Figueiredo at the 135-pound weight class, and just see what happens, right? So Figueiredo won that fight, but that, at this point in Garbrandt's career, let's just be honest, that's a step up. Okay, and him getting subbed by Divas and Figueiredo is completely fine for me. I don't care. That's okay. Figueiredo, again, we know what he is. He's a top 5/top 7 guy. That's just not where Garbrandt is at this point of his career anymore. He's not. Raoni Barcelos is not at that point, though, either. Barcelos is 38 years old, and sure, he looked great grappling Peyton Talbot. Well, okay, he beat an overhyped guy. Let's just be honest. And again, I'm not trying to take away anything from the victory of Raoni Barcelos. Incredible win. Nobody thought he could get that one done, right? We thought we were seeing Peyton Talbot as their next, Sean O'Malley type guy they were going to try to push. Maybe they'll come back to that, but right, that's what we kind of thought Talbot was going to be. Barcelos won't wrestle Cody Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt's got an 80% takedown defense rate in the UFC, and really nobody's been able to really dominate Garbrandt on the ground. I don't know, ever, except for probably Figueiredo. Where Garbrandt loses, let's just be honest, is because of his chin and because he gets knocked out. Well, okay, Figueiredo didn't knock him out. Garbrandt arguably should have won that first round. Figueiredo really didn't do anything. Garbrandt stuffed takedowns. And again, all it takes is one, right? All it takes is one. One takedown for Figueiredo in the second round ultimately got Cody down. He was able to jump on Garbrandt's back and get the sub. That's fine. Garbrandt outstruck Figueiredo in that first round. Chin looked all right, okay? I look at the fights that he's had against Kai Kara-France and Rob Font. Okay, again, those are good strikers. They are. Raoni Barcelos is a good striker. He's not a top 15 striker, though. He's not that good. He's 38 years of age. He's coming off back-to-back victories over Christian Quinones and Peyton Talbot. Hate to break it to you, Cody Garbrandt's better than those guys. Losses to Kyler Phillips and Umar Nurmagomedov. Okay, sure. But Garbrandt will win this fight. You're going to see a striking fight. Barcelos, guys, he's not going to be able to knock out Garbrandt. I firmly believe that. He's just not. Barcelos, when's the last time Barcelos knocked anybody out? 2018 against Kurt Hollabaugh? At UFC Fight Night Boise, Dos Santos versus Ivanov? It's been 7 years. Barcelos hasn't knocked anybody out since the first Trump administration. Yeah, we're fine here. Garbrandt is going to be okay in this fight. Barcelos can try to put it on Garbrandt, but I fully expect Garbrandt to counter. Again, the thing with Cody's been, okay, again, his striking, nothing will ever replicate, UFC 209? I think that what it was, 207? Nothing's ever going to replicate 207 for Garbrandt, right? He turned into the greatest fighter of all time that one night. It was crazy when he beat Dominic Cruz, right? We're never going to see a better version of Cody Garbrandt. Hell, you may never see a better 135 Marab, but you're never going to see, a night like that. It was incredible what Cody Garbrandt did back on December 30th, 2016. We're never going to get that guy ever again. But the skills are still there. The speed is still there. The striking's still there. The defensive wrestling's still there. What's not there is the chin anymore. And in all fairness to Cody, he has not been knocked out since he cut down to 125 in December of 2021. It's just a fear, oh no, Garbrandt might get KO'd, right? Since that Kai Kara-France loss, he beat Trevin Jones. He out-wrestled Trevin Jones. He knocked out Brian Kelleher. I remember that was a fan-made fight that Dana White, someone won a sweepstakes to match-make one fight and ended up being a Cody Garbrandt fan. He wanted his guy to fight Brian Kelleher. Hilarious, right? If I got to match-make fights, right? I would just give Aljamain Sterling a title fighter. That's what I'd do. Or I'd get, I'd let Colby Covington go right through Wonderboy, right? It's just, right? I give my favorite guys a win. So shout out to that guy for getting Cody Garbrandt a win, right? Because everyone thought he was going to beat Brian Kelleher. So honestly, Garbrandt hasn't been chin in a while. He hasn't fought since 300, but that's okay. He's going to beat Barcelos. Trust me. Barcelos does not have the power to knock him out. Garbrandt is a better striker than Barcelos. Can he knock out Howney? Yeah. With the crowd? I mean, give me Cody here, man. Cody Garbrandt, first round knockout? Turn me up here. Yeah, I'm taking Cody by first round knockout, and I think it's great value too. Again, we have some really good dogs on this card in terms of veteran fighters, right? Love Cody as a dog. Love, well, I guess both Codys. Love Cody Garbrandt. Love Cody Durden. There's another underdog in this card, and we'll get to it in just a few moments, but I'm taking Cody No Love here to knock out Howney Barcelos, and he'll get it done in the first round. I just think Cody's a better striker. I firmly believe that. I think Cody's quicker. I think when Howney steps forward and Howney tries to engage, I just feel like Garbrandt's going to be able to counter pretty easily here. I think Garbrandt, again, for as quick as he is, he's still a very good counter puncher. Cody No Love should be able to win the fight. I'm going Garbrandt here by first round knockout over Howney Barcelos. Let's go on now to the featured fight of the night in the middleweight division. Edmen Shahbazyan takes on Andre Petroski. Here, 3 rounds, obviously. Shahbazyan coming off winning his last fight over Dylan Budka. Knocked out Budka in the first round. I mean, we saw that one coming from a mile away. The UFC, they kind of still, give Shahbazyan some easy fights after, they tried to obviously get him into the top 5 with the Derek Brunson loss. He then proceeded to lose to Hermanson, lost to Imavov, got a gimme win over Dr. Lugiambula, tried to give him another step up, lost to Fluffy Hernandez. Gimme win over AJ Dobson, Mearshart subs him, and then Dylan Budka goes out there, and obviously Shahbazyan knocks out Budka, a gimme fight. I'm going to say it right now, I don't know why Shahbazyan's favored to beat Petroski. I don't get it. Again, does Vegas know something I don't? I'll just give the pick right now, and I'm just going to talk through it as we continue here with this fight. I'm taking Andre Petroski to submit Edmen Shahbazyan. Yeah, I'm taking Petroski second round sub here. I don't get the odds. I truly don't get them. Shahbazyan struggled with Gerald Mearshart. He struggled with Anthony Hernandez. He struggled with Imavov, who took him down. He struggled with Hermanson, who took him down. He struggled with Derek Brunson, who took him down. Why do we think he's going to beat Andre Petroski? That's all Petroski does, is wrestles. And sure, again, okay, I'll say this now. If Shahbazyan stuffs all the takedowns, okay, yeah, he's going to beat Petroski, okay? Like, we went over that earlier in the card, right? Like, with, oh God, who was it? With Simone and Jourdain, right? Like, if Jourdain's able to stuff the takedowns of Simone, okay, yeah, I expect Charles or Jourdain to win the fight. Same thing here, but guys, we've seen this over and over and over again with Shahbazyan. What changes, right? Shahbazyan's going to beat guys who are just willing to stand and bang with him, right? The lower level guys, obviously, right? He's not going... I know he's still 27 and he was, hyped up when he was, 22 years of age. I get that. Shahbazyan, I'm just going to say it, I don't think he's ever going to be a top 5 guy. Maybe he'll break the top 10. He's never going to fight for a title, right? But Shahbazyan will beat these lower ranked guys. He'll beat the guys coming off the contender series. He'll beat, again, the lower level guys like Budka and Dobson if they just stand and bang with them 100%. Don't forget, though, AJ Dobson did crack Edmen Shahbazyan in their fight. Shahbazyan kept fighting, obviously, and finished him in that first round. But regardless, though, right? If he strikes with Petroski and Petroski's not able to get a takedown, okay, yeah, no, Shahbazyan's going to beat Andre Petroski. Are we forgetting Andre Petroski's an 8-2 UFC fighter? His losses are Jacob Malkoun and Michel Pereira. And the Malkoun fight just kind of felt fluky. It was weird. He ran into Malkoun's hip when he was trying to, find a takedown. I don't know, again, maybe like Petroski's coming to that fight with a concussion. It was just weird. He tries to grapple or tries to, shoots for a takedown and he just gets stuck and he, chin gets hit and he's all wobbled and Malkoun finishes him on the ground. Really odd finish in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Michel Pereira fight, okay. Michel Pereira, again, is good. Knocked him out in the first round. What has Petroski done since? Okay, put the wrestling boots back on. Out grapples and out wrestles Josh Fremd. Out grapples and out wrestles Dylan Budka. What are you supposed to do against Rodolfo Vieira? You can't wrestle him, but Petroski ended up outstriking Vieira to a decision. It's all you can do in a fight like that, right? You beat a guy who is the black belt hunter, okay? So I don't put anything against Petroski with that victory. He found a way to win. He got it by decision. He's gonna out-grapple Shahbazyan here, guys. I really don't think it's that tough of a pick, if I'm being honest. Petroski's 8-2 in the UFC. Shahbazyan's what? I mean, look at Shahbazyan's last 7 fights. He's 3-4. He's 3-5 in his last 8. What? I don't know what we're doing here. Yeah, I really like Petroski in this spot. This might be my favorite dog on the card. No, it's probably Garbrandt. No, it might be Petroski. Because honestly, I get it, Shahbazyan's a great striker. He is, 100%. Petroski's not going to play around, though. You know, Petroski learned his lesson from the Michelle Pereira fight. No, he goes in there and he wrestles right away. Maybe you can look at the Vieira fight earlier this year and say, oh, he didn't look all that great. Again, what do you want the guy to do? He's not a striker. He just needed to find a way to get past Vieira, who's a great grappler. So that was a fight where Petroski didn't even try to wrestle. Hell, he's the one trying to stuff takedowns in that fight. Vieira shot 11, and Petroski stuffed 10 of them. Because you don't want to be on the ground with that guy, so he just outstruck Vieira. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with an Andre Petroski victory here. I really like him in this spot. Petroski should just be able to manhandle Edmen Shahbazyan here and eventually find his way to a submission. I'm going second round sub, likely by arm triangle. That is usually the submission of choice for Andre Petroski. And I know, again, he hasn't gotten a submission victory in the UFC in a while since how the Nick Maximov win back in 2022. But I'm going Petroski here by arm triangle to beat Edmen Shahbazyan in the second round. Maybe even in the first. I might go first. Yeah, I'm going first round sub, guys. I think this fight's a lot easier than you think it is. I'm going Andre Petroski first round submission over Edmen Shahbazyan. Shahbazyan can't grapple. And that's all Andre Petroski does. Yeah, this is my favorite dog on the card. Actually, yeah, I'm going to change it. This is my favorite dog on the card over Garbrandt. I like Andre Petroski here to beat Edmen Shahbazyan. Let's move on now to our co-main event in the women's flyweight division. Thug Rose Namajunas takes on Miranda Maverick. Rose is 13-7 now. Yikes. Rose Namajunas, though, is a pretty heavy favorite in this one. We have not seen her since her loss to Erin Blanchfield back in Denver, Colorado. That was in Edmonton. Yeah, she beat Tracy Cortez in Denver. Kind of same situation that they're doing with Namajunas. They've been doing this really in her last, I guess every fight since she lost to Esparza. They'll just give her up-and-coming fighters and see really if they're ready or not. It's weird, but Namajunas right now, her role in the UFC at the women's flyweight division is just to be a gatekeeper to the top 5. That's kind of what Rose has been doing recently, you know? Look at the, Erin Blanchfield fight. Okay, that fight proved that our Erin Blanchfield is a capable and elite fighter in the weight class. Tracy Cortez wasn't ready for that step up. Amanda Ribas wasn't ready for that step up. And Menifield was ready for the step up, right? That's kind of the task they're giving Miranda Maverick. They're kind of challenging her and say, all right, if you think you're elite, if you think you're in the top 5, then go out and beat Rose Namajunas. I don't see it happening. How does Miranda Maverick beat Rose Namajunas? She's got to wrestle. She's not outstriking Thug Rose, and I get it. Rose, again, outstruck by Erin Blanchfield, which is really disappointing and really surprising to me, and I get it. Blanchfield grappled some too, but ultimately, right, Blanchfield does outstrike Namajunas a lot in spots in that fight. Fior outstruck Namajunas as well. I'm not saying she got bullied in either of those fights, right? But Blanchfield was able to go out there, win 3 rounds to 2, 5-round co-main event. Fior obviously beats her in a 3-round decision. Miranda Maverick is not known for her striking, though. That's not what she does. She's a wrestler. And Rose Namajunas is pretty good defensively in terms of wrestling, right? She is. We saw Amanda Ribas try to go to the well a lot wrestling with Rose. Didn't have much success. She got the takedown, and then she got to a point, it's like, all right, what is she going to do with that? Rose flipped her a couple times in the fight. She reversed positions on the ground against Ribas. So, yeah, you get the takedown, but then what do you do with it? I don't think Maverick's going to be able to do enough, because I do think she's going to be getting her face beat in on the feet. And again, is Rose going to bloody her up or whatnot? Who knows, right? But I do just think Namajunas is just a much better striker than Miranda Maverick. And that's not a hot take at all. I believe, again, if you're watching this video, you've probably watched both these fighters fight. And yeah, Rose, Rose Namajunas is a better striker than Miranda Maverick. What Maverick does is that she wrestles and, she was able to bully fighters like Priscilla Cachoeira, Andrea Lee, Dione Barbosa, Jamie Lynn Horth, right? Because she's better than just those other fighters past the top 15 and past top 20. I'm not going to deny that Miranda Maverick's a top 15 fighter. I think she is. I don't think she's well within the top 5, though, and that's where Rose Namajunas stands. I don't even know if there's a fight we can comp this to for Maverick. Maybe the Jasmine Jasdavidius fight. That fight was stuck on the feet for a lot of it, and Jasdavidius went out there and outstruck Maverick, right? But in all of her wins, she just grapples and she wrestles. Well, Namajunas has dealt with that a lot. Namajunas has fought Carla Esparza. She's fought Zhang Weili. She's dealt with really good wrestlers in the past, and she's been just fine against them. And I get it, right? She lost 2 fights to Esparza, but regardless, right? She beat Zhang Weili twice, dealt with the wrestling of Zhang Weili in their second fight, ultimately still found a way to win the decision. Miranda Maverick's not going to go out there and just bully Rose Namajunas on the ground. Namajunas will stuff the takedowns, and I firmly believe Thug Rose is going to be able to go out there and just outstrike Maverick for 15 minutes. the fight would definitely favor Rose a lot more if it was a 5-round co-main event. I'm surprised the UFC didn't do that, considering the last time Rose got to fight in a co-main, especially because this does have a crowd. I'm not going to complain, because I think Thug Rose wins regardless. But yeah, this does just kind of feel like a fight to me where, okay, let's keep Rose in the win, or let's get Rose back in the win column. For as long as Rose has been in the UFC and for past title runs, she's only 32 years old. Miranda Maverick is 27. She's going to continue to get better, but I do just think Thug Rose is better at this point. I don't think Maverick's going to be able to get the takedowns, and I think Thug Rose Namajunas outstrikes Miranda Maverick in this fight. I'm going with Namajunas here to win by unanimous decision. Let's go on to the main event. A big one, obviously. Can Joaquin Buckley continue the tour of beating legends, right? Again, we talked about it. Wonder Boy knocks him out. TKOs or doctor stoppage victory over Colby Covington 5 months ago. And now he gets the final boss of that era. We can call it the Usman era in the Nigerian Nightmare, Kamaru Usman. Usman's 38 years old. I just want to put that out there right now. He's 38. And I think the biggest question for me in this fight is what does Usman have left at 38? Because, okay, looking back at his last fight, taking the Khamzat fight at short notice, not a bad fight at all for Kamaru. Kamaru fights that fight really well, actually. And you can easily make the case that fight should have been a draw. I think it probably should have been, right? So I'm not going to discredit Usman at all going into this fight. The only thing I am going to bring concern about is, okay, you haven't fought in a year and a half. Your last fight was in October of 2023, and now you're 38 years old. Usman has openly said his knees are fried. Hell, the guy can't walk downstairs. And now you're still fighting at 38 years of age. You've lost 3 straight fights. Your last victory came in November of 2021 in a fight that should have been a draw or a Covington victory. I'm just going to say that. I will stand on that hill forever that Colby won the second fight. Or at least it should have been a draw. Regardless, though, Colby would have won the third fight, but whatever. I miss prime Colby Covington, man. I miss prime Colby. Regardless, Usman hasn't won since November of 2021. Loses the Leon fight, gets head kicked in a fight he was up 3-1 in, regardless. Loses the second fight because Leon grabbed the fence a million times. And then Khamzat beats him by majority decision. Should have been a draw. But now what do you have at 38? You haven't fought in a year and a half, and you're taking on Buckley, who's on the run of his career. He just beat Colby Covington and outstruck Colby Covington. Again, I think Colby's washed. I think he is, unfortunately. And sure, he took on Colby on 2 weeks' notice, and, you know, Colby was on 2 weeks' notice, too. But he walks through Colby, walks through Wonder Boy. And the Wonder Boy fight was kind of competitive until it wasn't. I thought Buckley was... I thought Wonder Boy was winning. It was a competitive fight. What can I say? Buckley gets the finish over Wonder Boy in the 3rd round. He beats Luque before that as well, knocks out Luque. It's just, he's on a run right now, man. And what does Usman at 38 have to bring? Now, I am going to say it now. I don't think Usman can out-grapple Joaquin Buckley. Sorry. Very wrong. I don't think he can outstrike Joaquin Buckley. Okay, grappling, we're going to get to the wrestling in a second. I don't think he can just go out there and outstrike Buckley for 25 minutes, right? The Usman performances that we saw against Colby, right? The fight that we saw, I guess, against Gilbert Burns or Masvidal, where he got finishes in those fights. I don't think that's able to happen in 2025 with a 38-year-old Kamaru. I'm just going to be honest. If he's going to beat Joaquin Buckley, it's going to be because he wrestles him. It's going to have to be. I don't know. Colby had no success wrestling Buckley. No success at all. And say what you want about Covington. Like, when the guy wants to wrestle, he's good, you know? It's a gritty fighter who, again, had a bad Leon fight, took the fight against Buckley on short notice, right? We'll really see where Colby Covington's at for his next fight. I don't know who he's going to fight, but we'll really see, like, what Colby is in 2025 in his next one. But Buckley, man, did not let Colby do anything with the wrestling. Covington got one takedown in the 2nd round. I guess it's the one round where you can kind of make the case Colby kind of won. I still thought Buckley probably got it. For as big of a Colby guy as I am, I thought Buckley won that 2nd round. Covington goes 1 for 8 on takedowns, man. That's brutal. And you're expecting Usman to have to go to that well, too. And I don't see it, man. I really don't. A 38-year-old Usman who's got bad knees, who is past his prime, and then he gets stuck in a striking fight with Joaquin Buckley, who, you know, was damaging up Colby Covington. And sure, again, Colby's whole thing, right? He can take damage. He keeps walking forward, and nothing stops that guy. And that's 100% true. That's what Colby's always going to do. Obviously, the cut stopped Colby before Buckley could stop Colby. And I didn't think he was going to finish Colby. I thought it was probably just going to be a decision win for Buckley, even though Colby was eating damage and Buckley knocked down Colby in that fight. I don't know if they scored an official knockdown. They did not. They scored a slip. But anyways, right, knocks out Wonder Boy before that. Buckley's got good stuff, man. He's throwing heavy stuff right now. And I just think if Usman gets stuck in a striking fight, which he's going to, right? It's not even that I'm like over the moon about Buckley's defensive wrestling. I think it's good. Usman's gonna have to wrestle at 38. Maybe he gets it done in the first round. Maybe gets it done in the second. But then when you're in the third round, all right, I need another takedown, and Buckley is still kind of fresh. That's just trouble to me, man. I just think eventually Buckley's going to get to him. I don't know when that's going to be. I'm gonna go third round TKO for Joaquin Buckley. I know, again, that's how the Colby fight ended. It was a third round doctor stoppage. I understand. But I just think eventually Numantis is going to get to Usman. Just because I think Usman's going to be stuck after he doesn't get a takedown. Again, is Usman a bad striker? No, he's not, actually. He's not a bad striker at all. I've seen Usman go out there, and, we saw him knock out Burns. We saw him knock out Masvidal, right? We had that whole thing and that whole discussion going into that Colby fight, which was very true at the time. I said I think Usman's falling in love with his hands, and I said at the time I thought Colby was going to beat him, and I thought Colby won the fight. Anyways, I don't know. Usman's a good striker, but can he contend with the guy who's in his prime, who's knocking out guys left and right, and it's on a run, who's in the top 5? I just don't see it, man. I really don't. And it has to be talked about, too. I mean, how many wars has Usman been in? Those 2 Colby fights alone, it takes something out of you. It took something out of Covington, right? I believe that Usman-Covington is going to be the first rivalry that gets put in the UFC Hall of Fame. I think they're going to put both the fights in the Hall of Fame. I think they're gonna be the first 2 guys to go in, just as a rivalry, I think. If I had to guess. The UFC loves Colby, right? And they really like Kamaru as well. I think that's what they're gonna do. And the whole bury the hatchet moment at the end of the second fight, I think, is gonna be a big part of that. Regardless, though, the wars take something out of you, man. He's 38. You're jumping in there now with a contender and an up-and-comer. I just think it's trouble. I'm going Joaquin Buckley by third round TKO over Kamaru Usman. I understand Usman's only been finished once, and that was by Leon Edwards. Colby Covington has never been finished, other than that one fight against Usman where he broke his jaw, and Buckley found a way to win. I get it was a doctor's stoppage, but still, hell, Wonder Boy doesn't really get knocked out either. I get it, Showtime did it once upon a time, but Buckley's on a run. He's young, he's rising the ranks, and I think he finds a way to get a finish on Kamaru Usman in the third round. So, folks, thank y'all for watching our UFC Fight Night Usman versus Buckley full card predictions from Atlanta, Georgia. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for our PFL predictions, and next week as well for our UFC Azerbaijan predictions with Jamal Hill and Khalil Roundtree in the main event. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.